We're going to now be talking about public opinion and persuasion, and there will be two parts to this. As usual, we didn't do that for evaluation, but return to that format of two parts. This obviously is a very important subject in public relations, public opinion, and persuasions. Very much what really public relations is all about. As you know, these discussions are based on Public Relations Strategies and Tactics by Wilcox and Cameron, the 10th edition, and that is not the newest edition, so you could get it used, and it would be very helpful if you had the book and you're following along as we have these discussions. So what is public opinion? Seems a fairly obvious question, but public opinion is the sum of individuals' opinions on an issue affecting those individuals. So it's everyone's opinion combined, the sum. And then primarily we're concerned with those who are affected by whatever it might be. If they feel they are not affected, their opinion really is not going to be very valuable. Opinion leaders as catalysts. It's a very interesting subject, opinion leaders. I don't know if you've heard of opinion leaders or you've thought about this very important idea. People who are knowledgeable and articulate about specific issues are opinion leaders. And opinion leaders are targeted by public relations people and people in advertising and people in the media because they will influence others. There are formal opinion leaders, and these may be elected officials, the mayor, the school board president in a small town, company presidents, heads of membership groups, heads of organizations that advocate for one thing or another. So the kind of people who have been elected or they have been formally named as a leader of some kind in some sort of organization. And then there are informal opinion leaders, and these are simply role models who are admired, and they may be famous, such as rock stars or actors or athletes, might be your friends. We all depend on our friends and family for their opinions, so each of us really can be an opinion leader. People are influenced in their decisions by opinion leaders, and these may be friends, parents, educators, public officials, movie stars, could be almost anyone. As we just said, we have formal and informal opinion leaders. And here's a short video. I'm going to pick this up somewhat in the middle.
Well, I'm glad you bring up those terms because those, just like social networks and social networking, those terms you will see in all kinds of popular press. Opinion leaders are individuals that are turned to by a certain number, a more significant number of individuals in a community. So it's kind of a broad definition, but it could be about anything. So if you think about your own personal networks, if you are making a decision about where to buy a house, there's a certain group of people that you would turn to about that. And in that group, there are probably one or two individuals you could think about that, you know, a lot of folks go to this person because they know a lot about it. Maybe they're in the mortgage industry, or maybe they are a realtor, or, you know, there's someone that a lot of people know. If you're in a business setting and you've got to make a decision about purchasing an enterprise-wide software application, there are people that you would turn to for advice, for experience, seeking their wisdom and guidance. And some of those people will also be turned to by a variety of others. So in our definition, opinion leaders are individuals who they may not be, you know, movie stars or be in the popular press or really known very widely, but in their circle of friends and colleagues in their communities, they are considered to be knowledgeable, and their opinion is sought more often than others.
Okay, so I think a very good explanation there of opinion leaders. Only 10 to 12% of the public are opinion leaders, at least is a statistic quoted in your textbook, and I was surprised really to see that it was as small as that. Other people might think it's somewhat larger. but not everyone is an opinion leader. The characteristics of opinion leaders: they are active in the community, whatever that community may be. They probably have a college degree. They are well educated, most likely. Probably earn higher than average income. They are regular readers, or they are gatherers of information. They participate in recreational activities. They have environmental concerns. So all of those would be typical. Not necessarily every opinion leader would have all of those characteristics, but those would be typical. The flow of opinion. And many public relations campaigns concentrate on identifying and reaching key opinion leaders. So sometimes a campaign is targeted not so much at the general public, but at opinion leaders. There is the two-step flow theory, that public opinion is formed by people who form an opinion and then express it to others. And we're very well aware that all of us are very much influenced by our friends, people we know, people we respect, and sometimes people that we don't directly know, but people in the media that we respect and value what they think. And then the multiple step flow model is not that much different really than the two-step model, but allows a bit more for direct learning by members of the supposedly inattentive public. So it may be a little bit more realistic that we don't get all of our information from other people, but it still acknowledges that the opinion leaders are important in forming our beliefs. Now, the role of mass media, there is something called agenda setting theory. And like a lot of theories, this basically is common sense, but it is scientifically demonstrated. So the idea here is that the media sets the agenda for public discussion. The agenda being sort of the list of things, if there was such a literal list, that we are thinking about and focused upon. I think most of us would agree that we tend to talk about and be aware of things because we have seen or heard them in the media. Now, there may be something on your agenda that is strictly within your own circle, within your family, but the kind of broader things that we're all thinking about and talking about tend to be the things that get covered in the media. So the beginning of a video here on agenda setting theory.
Hello there everybody in YouTube land, and welcome to the Mr. Sin channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about the agenda setting function theory. It looks at how the media maybe is dictating our daily conversations and the media's impact on us, the viewers. This theory was developed in 1972 by Maxwell McCobbs and Donald Shaw. They saw a connection between what voters found important and what the media was talking about. And this theory is a little bit different than other theories we've talked about on this channel before. This one isn't like the media has all the power and it tells us what to think and how to think about it and every aspect of it. No, this theory is more about the media not telling us what to think, but what to think about. Now what that means is the media here, what they noticed was informing the daily conversation. It didn't tell people what to think on that particular issue, but it was telling people which issues to talk about. And that was the power of the media here. So the audience is listening. They're not necessarily fully passive, and the media does have some power here.
So we'll pause this at that point, and I hope you'll watch some more of this. Another way to think about this is if the media is not talking about something, then it probably is not on the agenda. So that's sort of the other side of the coin. And there are some examples. We could talk about that if we wanted to take some more time. But the basic idea is that as a culture, as a society, we tend to focus on the things that get presented in the media. Framing theory is related to this. How do members of the media select certain facts or themes to frame a story? Presumably you tell all sides of the story, but in reality, certain aspects get emphasized over other aspects. Stories can be told in a variety of ways, and certain facts are emphasized and certain facts are de-emphasized, and it depends on who's telling the story. So I'll show you a video here. This video has to do with investing, but still it gets at the basics of framing.
To talk about framing. Consider these two statements. Hey, the trash can is full. Or, it would be really great if you could empty the trash can, darling. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. If you communicate a message in different ways, people receive it in different ways. This effect is called framing. We presented a group of people with two varieties of milk, 99% fat-free and 1% fat, and asked them to choose which was healthier. Can you guess which they picked? They ranked the first type of milk as healthier, even though both products were identical. Next came the choice between 97% fat-free and 1% fat. Again, most of them chose the first option despite the higher fat content. Glossing or phrasing information mildly is a popular type of framing.
So this goes on for a bit longer, and he does get more so into investing, but you get the idea. It kind of depends on how you present the story. What particular set of facts are we emphasizing, and what set of facts are we de-emphasizing? That affects how people perceive the story. Conflict theory says that public opinion often reflects conflicting views, attitudes, and behaviors. There's no real surprise in that, things are not always clear-cut. Conflict is a part of life, and we can try to minimize conflict, which hopefully most of the time each of us is doing. However, there are times when we are really trying to promote more conflict if we feel that is what is called for and that is what is needed. PR professionals frequently try to minimize or resolve controversy. At other times, PR practitioners may generate or promote controversy to arouse key publics on a particular subject. The dominant view of public relations is that PR is viewed as attempting persuasive communication on behalf of clients, that public relations people are trying to persuade the public to a point of view that is favorable to our clients. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Persuasion is an integral part of democratic society. We are all attempting to persuade each other of one thing or another. It's one aspect of freedom of speech. And while one side is attempting you to persuade point of view A, another side is probably equally attempting to persuade you of point B, and that is the right of each one, and to some extent we benefit from the fact that we are freely able to argue for one point of view or the other. 6 principles of persuasion. There are extensive examples in the textbook. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on these. Also, I believe we have a video or two at the end of this, so you can look at those videos. I may show you part of one. So, 6 principles of persuasion. Liking is one aspect. If people like us, then it is easier for us to persuade them. There's the thought that if I like you, you probably like me, which is a bit overly simplistic, but there is something to that. So this is one reason that brands that advertise beer and soda, soft drinks, try to be liked. They try to create an image that is likable, and that then persuades people to pick up that particular brand when they walk into the store. Reciprocity, people repay in kind. So if I do something for you, you will feel that you should do something for me. Social proof, people follow the lead of others. They do what others do. They very much take the lead, take the cue from people that they observe. And again, opinion leaders probably come into play here. Consistency, people will fulfill a written commitment if they are presented with that. They will feel obligated to be consistent with what they said they would do. Authority, people do defer to experts very often. Again, this comes back to the opinion leader thing, and we also do, more often than not, comply with what we perceive the authority thinks we should do. And scarcity. People value what is scarce. So if people perceive a thing to be scarce, then they will put more value on it and possibly desire it more. So I'm going to start this first video here on this. Obviously, I cannot play the whole thing. We'll see a little bit of the video.
Orla has had a very good idea. The only problem is convincing stubborn Sam to get on board. How can she get him to support the idea? With the psychology of persuasion. The 6 Principles of Influence was created by Robert Cialdini. I don't know why he didn't try to make it an acronym. He could have called it Rascals, but anyway. He designed these principles based on years of research and based on actual evidence. Cialdini designed these principles to be used ethically, so they should not be used to mislead or manipulate people. If you're really clever, you'll use these to prevent people trying to manipulate you instead. Reciprocity. The idea is to be the one to give first. People don't like to feel indebted, so if someone has done a favor for you, given you a gift or helped you out in some way, you'd feel obligated to pay them back. Orla knew she might need Sam to support one of her ideas someday, so she helped him out when he was very busy on a previous project. She gently reminds him of this.
Okay, I'll stop that there. This continues for a while. These principles that are in that video are almost exactly the same as what is in our outline here. They're slightly different, but very, very close. And then there's a longer and more in-depth video there, the second video, which is also very, very good, and I hope you will watch that. So we will continue this conversation about public opinion and persuasion next time. Thanks.